I'm Fran Livingston, and I am an over-the-road driver for GP Transco. Well, that's a cool story as to how I got into the trucking industry many, many years ago, and I probably won't say when because that'll date me. My brother basically dared me to, and I say that because I was looking for a different career. And he owned his own truck at the time, and he suggested to me, well, why don't you drive truck? And I guess I kind of hummed and hawed about it. And he says, yeah, never mind, you probably couldn't do it anyway. So I thought, okay then, just watch me. And that was many, many, many years ago. I've been in the trucking industry. I've actually driven for over 20 years, but in the trucking industry since the early 80s. Some of the challenges that I face as a female driver, they've actually really decreased over the years. When I first started driving, there were not very many female drivers at all. And so you'd go to a company for a pickup or a delivery, and they'd load around you all the time. And you would sit there and wait because they didn't appreciate women driving trucks. There's still a little bit of that, but not as much. I guess one of the biggest things that we face as lady drivers is bathrooms. A lot of places have big signs up, no public restrooms. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not the public. I'm actually contracted to you basically to deliver your load. So that can be a big issue. I plan ahead for that. I always stop for my break before I get to a shipper or receiver, just in case. Other than that, there's still maybe some drivers that don't appreciate women, quote, taking their job. And my answer to that is, I don't want your job, mine's better than yours. I guess the advice that I would give to other women that are considering a career, get yourself a thick skin. And don't let what other people say discourage you. Because I had a boss years and years and years ago that came to me one day, and he told me that he was so pleased with the decision that I had made to drive. He said, because you definitely cannot make this money as a secretary. And he said, you have a family to support. He said, I admire you for what you're doing. So stick to your guns. If you want to drive, go for it. It's a good career choice. I think the trucking industry has grown tremendously when it comes to female drivers. I really don't feel not included anywhere, hardly. You know, there might be the odd time or two, but hey, you know, so what? I mean, I guess you get that pretty much in any career line, you know, no matter what you do. So, I mean, really, it's gotten so much better. I know we have a lot of ladies here that drive. I keep seeing more and more and more, and that's a cool thing. That's really, really good. I have a terrific relationship with my fleet manager. I did find out that she had started not too long before I did, and I was her actual first driver. So there's that connection because of that. I've gotten to know her a little bit. When we talk, a lot of times it's more than just, you know, here's this load, go get this load, whatever. We'll talk more on a personal level. We've kind of gotten to know each other a little bit, which is nice. That's another nice thing about GP is you get to know people even with the size of the company that we are. And that's really cool. You know, sometimes even if you work for a smaller company, you might not know people because they might not want to get to know you. But I think here everybody wants to get to know you. What is super cool is going to some companies that I had been to previously, you know, with a different employer, and walking in the door and being recognized. Oh, you've been here before, that's really cool. I guess that's good though, that they remember you for who you are as a good remembrance rather than somebody that they might have escorted off the property or something, you know. So yeah, it's pretty cool to go someplace where they do remember you. And the one thing that I have to say about a choice as a truck driver, I see myself driving for as long as I can possibly drive. And then after that, I'd love to travel. Believe it or not, I drive every day for a living, so I travel every day. But I'd like to get to some of the places that I don't have time. I really kind of like the Midwest, simply because of the wide open spaces, and you can typically just roll. I think I'm more drawn to places where the people are friendly. Like, for instance, in the South, people are typically friendly and welcoming. Some places, though, have totally surprised me. I would figure, yeah, I'm not sure. But I've come across the nicest people in all corners of the country, really. So that's a blessing. My favorite thing about GP Transco is that I feel like family here. Drivers are friendly. Everybody here is very welcoming and friendly. So I don't feel like it's as big a company as it really is, because people tend to remember who you are. And that's nice. That is really nice. And of course, we have amazing equipment. So that always helps. I found out about GP Transco because I actually saw, when I worked for my previous company, a lady that had pulled into a fuel island, and I was parked. And I never ever did approach her or talk to her, but I just kind of paid attention to what she was doing and paid attention to the fancy looking truck that she was driving. And like I said, I was kind of, thinking of switching companies at the time. So then I started to do some research. I did like what I saw with GP Transco. The first thing I checked was the safety score, because safety was a big deal to me at that point, and it should be to every driver. And unfortunately it's not, but it was a big deal to me. And the fact that the equipment here is top of the line. I mean, the best of the best. So it was a win-win. He would be really, really happy to know that I'm here. He was always really proud of me. My brother was, because he had told me really not too long ago, I think you need to find a better job. I think you need to go to a different company. And that always kind of stuck in the back of my head, and then when I started to look, and like I said, I'd seen that lady fueling her truck, and then I started to do my research, and safety was a big deal. I think he'd be really proud. He was always proud of me for driving, and we used to, share different jokes, and we used to call each other in the middle of the night and talk over miles and miles and miles of highway, and it was always cool. I actually lost him January 31st of this year. I would think that I have a guardian angel now, is the way I see it. And there's times where, kind of goofy things happen. And I'm thinking, okay, he's watching out for me.